who's in the house. Kate, Scott,
What's up?
76ers on the West Coast. Got a big win last night over the Lakers. It's an off day today. The Clippers are next. The Suns to follow on Sunday. And there she is. Kate, how are you?
Lair, first of all, it is so good to see you, my friends. That intro was fire, as the
Fire.
kids say, in more
Fire.
ways than one. That was fire.
Yeah.
But I'm so good, man. It's so good to be back on the West Coast. It's so good to see your face. So excited to catch up.
Oh man, it is so great. Well, for those who don't know, once upon a time, but way before she was a megastar, she did this little radio. She did a little radio gig out here in the city with Gary and I. And then you left. Tell us the path from the leader to the Sixers, because I followed every step, but there were people that I'm sure at different points may have lost track of you and then kind of refound you. Talk to us about that transition from radio to play-by-play to now full-time broadcaster with the Sixers.
Well, I have lost track, so I'm glad that you have been able to keep track there, and I completely understand if other people haven't. But for people who don't know, I mean, it truly did start with you and Gare, and obviously I was with Murph and Mac in the morning too. But so much of what I do now, and I tell this to people all the time, I know how to do, and I have the confidence to do because of the time I spent with you guys. I had an absolute blast, and obviously our ratings reflected it. But you, me, and Gare, that was just a couple of the best years early in my career. So it is great to see you again, my friend, just because of that. But yeah, it was also really hard for me to leave because of that, because I was loving what I was doing with you guys. I mean, I grew up listening to KNBR.
Yeah.
So to now have this incredible job. But I knew that if I wanted to grow as a play-by-play announcer and as a TV person, there's only so many hours in a day, right? And I was waking up at 3 to get in with Murph and Mac, and then trying to also call games in the afternoon and evening. Like, it was not possible. I was, in my opinion, sucking at both of them because I was just spread too thin. So after I left you guys back in 2017, went over to the Pac-12 network because while I was with you guys, I've been doing sideline for the San Jose Earthquakes and calling high school football games and stuff. So I knew the next phase for me was going to be stepping up and covering college sports full time. So went to the Pac-12 network, and Lair, I mean, they were so kind to let me do everything. So I called every sport, but I was also a sideline reporter for them. And I also did studio anchoring because the studio was in San Francisco. I hosted our feature show. So I loved being there because they let me do everything, which, very few places let you check all the boxes. You usually are an anchor or a reporter. Anyway, and was doing that, and then continued to work for NBC Bay Area, started calling WCC men's games, then NBC National. Got in contact with them, started flying to the East Coast and calling A10 hoops as well, where Steph played basketball.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely started working my way up, and apparently impressing enough people there that they asked me to call that crazy hockey game a couple of years ago, the first all-female broadcast, which was
I saw
terrifying. That. But you guys taught me just take risks and take leaps, and you won't be perfect and you'll want to be better, but those are steps you need to take to keep going. And then called, let's see, what did I do after that? It's been such a crazy couple of years.
I caught you a lot this fall with like Mike Golick doing college football.
There you go. Yeah, did my first
and you guys were having a lot of fun, and I follow you on social media, and I'm watching you guys smoke cigars at restaurants late night.
I don't know there how we were getting paid for that. We had so much fun. And first of all, so that's what happened. So I called Olympic basketball for NBC, and then right after that, because I didn't even know this Sixers gig was a possibility, I had signed up to do a national college football package for Learfield, which you guys know in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you listen to Stanford or Cal football, it's brought to you by Learfield. So they're a big national brand like Westwood One, and they wanted Mike and I to do like a college football game of the week, but going off of my sports radio background, and obviously Mike's as well, they wanted the game to kind of be background. They just wanted us to have a blast.
That's
and
cool.
to also call a football game. And I was thinking when I got the call, like, what the hell does Mike Golden want to do with this random chick from California? But
you guys had fun, though.
Fun.
You guys had a ton of fun.
He's a great dude. So yeah, that, and then the Sixers called and interviewed and auditioned, and it's been a whirlwind. I can't believe this is my life, Larry. It's madness.
Well, it's funny, the people say, do you have a highlight or anything you remember about those days? And I remember me and you one morning got into it, and Gary's just like, both of you, shut up! Shut up! at the game because you got and it went viral.
It was so, and I
was,
know I loved that because we were simulcast, so we were on TV as well, and people still tweet me that YouTube link. So obviously it wasn't just the three of us having a blast. Obviously a lot of our listeners remembered it too.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you, let me say too that you know, we go way back. So, I have 4 kids and my first is Anna and she's, so I like to look my daughter in the eye and say, you can do anything you want to do. And I use you as an example for breaking down those barriers and hurdling those hurdles and climbing those walls and breaking everything down and doing your thing. And it makes me so happy when I see you thriving. So talk to us about Philadelphia, because that is, I talked to a guy at WIP once about doing a show there, because I was in Philly doing a show for KMBR. And he's like, well, I'll tell you, Philly's the most provincial town in America. If you're not from here, don't even bother. and it's like that in Chicago and New York and Boston.
Yeah.
And it really is true. And the more I research Philly, the more I found out that they want their own. So it's not easy to necessarily come from the West Coast and just pop right in the backyard and be the voice of the Sixers. But you've done it, and you've done it seamlessly. What's been your experience with the fans this year and kind of learning about this beautiful, wonderful new city, Philadelphia?
Yeah, well, it has been amazing because, it's not often that I'm almost 40, I'm 38. It's not often that at this point in your life, you get to kind of start fresh and see things through new eyes, kind of like a kid. And I had all the concerns that you just voiced. And that was one of the things I asked him in my audition, because pretty much everybody I work with was born in Philly, went to one of the colleges in Philly.
Right,
Villanova. So many colleges in Philly. St. Joe's and Temple and Villanova. And obviously they love their basketball. So I just straight up asked them. I was like, all right, guys, I obviously am super excited about this possibility, but let's just get real with each other for a second. I'm a chick. I'm gay. I'm from California. Like, I'm going to check a lot of diversity boxes for you, but how do you think this city that has this stereotype is going to take me? And they had the best answer, because all 4 of them, producer, director, like all the guys who are in charge at NBC Philly of hiring me, said, Kate, we're all Philly lifers and we freaking love you. Like, you kind of feel like Philly to us. Just hearing your path and all the grit and how you weren't given anything and how you had to work your way up is not going to be easy, because in addition to all those things I listed, like, I'm replacing a legend. Mark Zumoff was the voice here for 27 years, born in Philly, went to Temple, hosted pre and post before he started calling games for them, and is just Philly through and through, and the kindest human as well. But they told me that, and they said, so if this doesn't work, it's going to be on us, because we're all Philly lifers and we really like you. So we hope you'll be willing to take a chance on us if we get to that point. And I got to be honest, Blair, it has been so much fun. Like, it is a great city because they care so much, right? As somebody who works in sports, all you want is for people to be watching your games, listening to your radio show, caring as much as you do. They watch every game. It doesn't matter. Like, last night, the game was on at 10 o'clock back in Philly. LeBron's not playing. Right. It was not an exciting game. I was getting so many tweets and texts from people. It was a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, and people were just, they love their sports. So there was a lot of blowback at first, but I experienced that when I joined up with you guys at KMBR. Who's this chick? What's going on?
Right.
And there's still some, but to be honest, people have come around to me much quicker than I expected them to. I think because I'm just being myself, like you said, and they can tell that I love sports. They can tell that I've already fallen for their Sixers. The city's great, the food, the beer, the people. So it is. Friends told me it was a really underrated city on the East Coast, right? Because on the West Coast, we hear about New York, we hear about Chicago, we hear about DC, but you don't really hear about Philly. So much fun. You could take a train to DC, you can take a train to New York to go see a show. The houses are on sale out here in comparison to the Bay Area.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm pinching myself multiple times a day that I'm getting paid now to call games for the Sixers.
Well, when it was announced, Kate, a couple of media people came up to me that I know and were just like, that's a tough town, man. How do you think she's going to do? And I'm like, first of all, she's going to do awesome, because she's smart and she's one of the toughest chicks I've ever met. So I knew that you had that tough exterior. You were going to be able to surf those waters seamlessly. How's your wife? How's your dog? You moved everybody moved, right? Or
They
right?
all they made the cross country drive in January. Yeah,
So
but
how is that? Because you
I was
guys
down here for the
adopted a
first.
dog too, right before then, or
Piper's here. Piper's here.
Piper?
We rescued her from the Oakland SPCA in May 2019. So she'd been with us for a little bit. But 60-pound pit bull, you're not throwing that pup in a little
I was gonna
purse and
say,
taking her
yeah,
on a flight. Although I always think that would be really funny because there's so many dogs on planes these days. Like,
yeah.
here's my giant pit bull. So yeah, she and Nicole, we sold the house in December.
Wow.
My wife did so much because I was calling
Yeah.
college football, and then I got the Sixers gig, and then I moved across the country at the end of September. So it was kind of like, honey, I love you. Peace out. Like, I'll see
Yeah.
you whenever you guys can take care of business. So sold the house in Oakland. She and Pipes drove across the country in the middle of January. Her mom was with her for the
Wow.
first half. Our nephew, who's in college in Boston, hooked up with her in Oklahoma City, drove the second half. And now we're in a furnished rental out in Philly while we look for a house in Philly. So it's been crazy, but she doesn't hate it, which is amazing. And she actually likes it. My wife's, Nicole's not the best with change. And she'd lived in the
Okay.
Bay Area most of her life. She's from
Yeah.
Belmont on the peninsula. She went down to UCLA and then had been in the Bay for the past 20 plus years. So I was a little nervous how the fam would do, but they're both doing great. So it has exceeded all expectations, which I don't think you get to say very often.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. And so are the people in the chat room. And you can see some of these comments. Damn, Kate broke all the barriers. KMBR was just a measuring stick, and boom, stardom, talent. This one from Jesus. He says, "Saludos, Kate. Are you an A's or a Giants fan? You're more Giants, right?"
Gigantes.
Yes,
But I did live in
yes.
Oakland for the last 5, and I obviously went to Cal. So a lot of friends. I went to a lot of A's games, and I was a big Bo Mel fan, and a lot of Cal guys played for him. So yeah.
Bo Mel's in San Diego this year. Sons of Johnny O'Master. Hi, Kate. Miss you. Keep kicking ass.
Miss you guys too. Thank you.
Oh, I hate what you've done to me. That was another Gary line. Oh, so here we go. Jose, you were great on KMBR.
Thanks, Jose.
Andrew, now all we need is Gary.
I know.
We'll get Gary on here somewhere. Fabulous. So proud of you, Kate. So, the overwhelming, there's so many fans of yours out here, and people are so happy. Let's talk a little bit about, for people who don't know me, don't know you, and are watching this on YouTube going, shut the fuck up and talk Sixers. You got the voice of the Sixers. They're the 2 seed, damn it.
We've known each other for a decade. Calm down.
Oh, wait, before we talk Sixers, I got to pay off the bills here. We're sponsored by the Good Guys. And if you see it on the bottom of the screen there, Good Guys 38 Custom Auto Association. They got a show this weekend, March 26th and 27th. It's in Pleasanton at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. You can see on the screen. If you want more information, go to the website, good-guys.com. It is America's favorite car show. It's this weekend. Great weather in Northern California. Get out, take the kids out. Great food, music. And if you want to register your ride, get tickets or more details, go to good-guys.com. Check them out. Thanks to Andrew Ebel and all the good people at Good Guys. All right, let's talk about your Sixers. They made the big trade with the Nets in February. Who won that trade? How's that trade faring for Philly?
Well, I'd say so far we've won the trade because our guy's playing.
And you're the 2 seed, and they're the 8 seed or 7 seed?
And the Nets are on the cusp of maybe missing the playoffs. I don't expect them, obviously, to do that, especially with the news that Kyrie is now going to be allowed to play in Brooklyn. But I think they won the trade, obviously, for a number of reasons, including the fact that James is playing for us. But they were winning ball games before. I mean, we were fluctuating between the 2 and the 5 seed before the trade happened. And we had this huge slot that was not playing because Ben wasn't with the team, right? So now all of a sudden that slot is filled, and it's filled by an all-star. And I wasn't sure what we were going to get with James, right? Because I was with you out in the Bay. So my only view of him was hated him with the Thunder, when the Warriors and Thunder were going.
Ball dominant.
The Rockets, when the Warriors and Rockets were going at it. And I'd heard the same narrative that everybody else had the past number of years, right? Selfish, only wants to score points, only about his own stats. And he has been the complete opposite since he got here. And Doc Rivers is our coach, and Doc has been awesome with me this year and lets me come to practice and shoot around and film, has given me pretty much full access to the team.
Cool.
And James is here early. He stays late. He is always joking with the young guys, coaching them up. He will challenge Joel, which is super important. If you want to get to the mountaintop in sports, you got to be okay with conflict on a team. So if he's not seeing what he wants, he'll go after guys. He's always asking questions of the coaching staff because he's still settling in. He's only played 12 games with the team. So I think the Sixers have won the trade. I may be a little bit biased, but it has been so much better than I expected it to be, because the chemistry with the team was really good already. So I was a little bit concerned with that. But James is here to win. He can score and can do all the things that he did with the Rockets and win MVPs and stuff. But Larry, you get to a certain point in your career and you've checked all those individual boxes and you're like, okay, all that matters now is winning a championship. And he and Joel have a great vibe. They give each other a hard time in our post-game press conferences, which is really funny. And I reached out to a bunch of people at ASU, right? Because he was there for a couple of years.
Sure.
And asked how he was there. And they said, he's just a quiet dude who really likes to play basketball. He grew up in Southern California, single mom. His mom is his most important person in his world, along with his siblings. And they were a really tight-knit little family. And does he like to have a good time? Yeah. But you know what I've learned since being on the road? A lot of NBA players like to have a good time. He maybe is just a little more famous, so he gets a little more pub because of it. But a lot of guys out here are having a good time on the road. So I have been really pleasantly surprised, and I'm hoping for the best. They're still figuring things out. They're in the, move-in phase now. Everybody's fallen in love because his first couple of games with the Sixers were just lights out. They played incredible and
awesome,
found a rhythm way faster than I expected, than any of us expected. And now I like to say they're in the move-in phase where you're super in love, but honey, I thought that was going to be my drawer. I thought that was going to be my dresser on the right side of the bed. Oh, really? Taco Tuesday? Because I usually do Taco Fridays instead. And I don't know how that's going to work out. So they're just kind of like figuring that stuff out now. But last night, again, wasn't the prettiest win, but 4 of our 5 starters had 20 plus points. So if you have 4 guys scoring 20 plus, it's going to be hard to beat.
Can I tell you my James Harden, how James Harden once saved my life?
Oh, yes, because then I can start sharing that.
This is James. So James Harden is a 49er fan. And he's a hardcore Niner fan. So I'm on the sidelines. I think it was the final game at Candlestick. And it was a Niners-Falcons game. And I turn around, and it's James Harden. He's got the distinctive beard, and he's standing right there. So he's standing there, and I'm talking to somebody as the action's going on. And, you're on the sideline of an NFL game. It was a sweep to the sideline.
You got to pay attention to the action, or you're going to
exactly
die.
Head on a swivel.
Yeah.
But somebody had asked me a question, and I turned my head to the right, and I was talking, and it was a sweep to the sideline, and the running back is coming flying at us, and James Harden grabs my shoulders and moves me 3 feet, and the running back slides right by, and I'm like, whoa! Oh my God, dude! I almost got wiped out. And I turn around, and he's like, "No problem, bro." And he's like, really low key about it. He's like,
that's how he's been.
You were going to get smoked. I was like, dude, you saved me, dude. I don't know who it was at the time, but it was some Niner running back who was going to run me over as I was chatting over here. James Harden.
I will share that story with him. I did not know he was a Niner fan. I know he's a big bowling fan, which I love because my birthday parties from like 8 to 16 were bowling parties down in the Central Valley.
Okay, he's a bowler. I didn't know
Niners and bowling. So now we have stuff to talk about. Thank you.
Yeah, talk Niners with James. He's a hardcore Niner fan, like hardcore. He's really into it. Joel Embiid, MVP?
I mean, I sure think so.
Yeah, I mean, every time I see him, he's dominating.
And the way he does it, like I'm so lucky, obviously, because I get to see it up close. But he is 7'2" and 280 pounds, Larry. And his footwork, the way he can turn around on the baseline, it reminds you of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And then you have to remind yourself that this dude is almost 300 pounds and over 7 feet tall. His touch around the hoop, his just everything about him, his passing ability, that was his big focus coming into this season because obviously he didn't make it all the way to the finals last year, had a number of turnovers in Game 7 loss to the Hawks. And he said, my assisted turnover has to be better. And it is. So I think he's the MVP. I know a couple of his numbers are slightly better, even though they're close. But I think getting back to what we were talking about earlier, there was such a cloud over the team and they did such a great job ignoring it. But the whole first half of the season leading up to the trade deadline was Ben Simmons. What are the Sixers going to do about the Ben Simmons problem? And yet Joel led this team, without an all-star, without a potential defensive player of the year in Ben Simmons. And we were one of the top 5 teams in a very competitive Eastern Conference. And he stepped his leadership up this year. So yeah, I think he should be the MVP with all of his 30 pluses and 2-time Eastern Conference Player of the Month already this season. And I know that people keep pointing at, well, Jokic hasn't had Jamal and he hasn't had Michael Porter Jr. And I'm like, yeah, look at who Joel's been playing with, and the disruption off the court that he had to deal with all season, and getting COVID early in the year. And he's played more games already this season than he has the last couple. So he's healthy. He knows that that was a big part of why he wasn't in the final consideration last year. So he won't say that it means something to him. He just keeps focusing on the championship, which you want your star player to do. But I know that he's paying attention and he would love to win that award.
2 Sixers that I just love. I'm a big Eric Musselman, but he's a buddy of mine. So he could turn me on to Isaiah Joe. He's like, Isaiah Joe can flat out shoot it. And I started watching this guy and I'm like, wow, it's beautiful. He's got like almost like Klay Thompson, like release. Now he doesn't get a lot of minutes on this team, but the other guy that I just love is Tyrese Maxey. And Maxey, the other night they beat Miami, no Harden, no Embiid. Maxey went off in that game.
Yeah.
He's so fun. I mean, talk about a guy. You think I'm having fun, you're having fun. We're not having fun compared to that guy. That guy's having a ball right now.
Oh my gosh, he is. I think somebody best described Tyrese as a walking ray of sunshine. He's so happy. He turned 21 in December. He's in his 2nd year. He played a year at Kentucky, but I don't think anybody expected the growth that they have seen from him this season. He was forced to step into the starting lineup because no Ben, and he has exceeded everyone's expectations. And the best things about him, Lair, are he is so grateful to be playing basketball every day. Day after Christmas, our practice facilities in Jersey, which is real close to Philly. It's just across the bridge. So like 15 minutes from this facility. His mom and dad are with him, his family. His house burns down the day after Christmas. Yeah, wow. His house burned down. Luckily, everybody was okay. But so he's living in an apartment right now. And we asked him in January, like, you're in your 2nd year. You were thrust into the starting lineup. There's so much discussion about this team. Your house burned down. How are you doing, kid? Like, how are you doing? And he said, I am here getting paid to play basketball, the sport I love. Everybody I care about is safe and healthy, and I can support them. How lucky am I to be doing this? I am so grateful every day that I get
that's
this
a great perspective.
And he just turned 21. And
yeah, that's amazing.
And on top of that, Doc and the coaches were really hard on him at practice, and he just eats it up. And there's so many young guys who, I know everything. Come on.
Yeah,
I played 3 months at Kentucky.
I have an entourage.
I know, exactly. No entourage. When he turned 21 in December, what did he do? Did he go out and rage? No, he went out to lunch with his mom and dad. He now has the confidence, because he's played so well this season, to push back against Joel. That was one of the difficult things he was struggling with at the start of the season, right? He's just a 2nd-year player. He knows that Joel needs his touches, that Tobias Harris needs his touches. So he was kind of up in his head a little bit, and Joel just keeps saying, like the good leader he is, shoot the ball, Tyrese. Shoot the ball. I will get my touches. Just go with your gut and figure it out. We'll figure it out along the way. And he really has. I mean, Joel didn't play when John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies were in Philly at the really end of January. And that was a huge win for us in overtime. And Tyrese was a superstar in that one. And then same thing on Monday night against the Heat. No Joel and no James. And the Wells Fargo Center where we play, it was as loud as I've heard it all season. Philly has fallen for this kid who's out of Garland, Texas. He's fallen for Philly. And I think it only helps that he's not obviously replacing Ben exactly. But the fact that this guy who obviously didn't want to be in Philly and struggled taking critique was filling the role before this now ray of sunshine, who wants to be coached hard, who loves the city, who is grateful for every day. The juxtaposition is pretty interesting. And I think that's one of the reasons that this city is just falling head over heels for him.
Couple last thoughts before we let you get on with the rest of your day. Did you see last? I mean, you were probably doing your own thing.
No, but we saw. I mean, on the bus afterwards, we were all talking about it. What happened?
Jimmy Butler challenged Eric Spoelstra to a fight in their huddle. Udonis Haslem, who's supposed to be the leader, one of the leaders and the veteran leaders, was like, I'll kick your ass. I'll kick your ass. This is all going on. I actually retweeted the video going, a tight-knit group. I was like, I mean, they're the 1 seed in the East right now. I couldn't believe that. I mean, we've all seen NBA players go at each other, coaches, players.
Totally.
It's a long year. You either grow together, you grow apart,
Yeah.
one or the other. Looks like Miami may be growing apart, but did you see that? What'd you think? I mean, you're around the players, you're around
Yeah. Well, and
the
we just
NBA. I
saw
mean,
the Heat on
that
Monday.
was shocking.
Well, I mean, at this point in the season, it's the final stretch. There's 2 weeks
Right.
to go. We have 10 games left. I think the Heat have one last 9. And they were playing so well. And they had a big rotation this year because Bam was out and a number of guys have been out. Jimmy has missed a number of games because of sprained ankle. Victor Oladipo is just coming back. So they have won by committee. So the fact that they're a 1 seed, again, goes to their Spoelstra, the culture, all that stuff, Pat Riley, et cetera, down in Miami. So then all of a sudden the last couple of days, the wheels are starting to fall off a little bit. I don't know if that's the pressure. I don't know if, sometimes conflict can be good.
Yeah.
I don't know about challenging
jumpstart
your
you.
coach. I don't know about challenging your coach to a fight, but if anybody could get through that, I think it's the Miami Heat. But I think overall, the thing that I got from it was the East this year kind of feels like the West did a number of years ago. Remember,
It's
like the
wide
East for
open.
so long was just whoever LeBron's playing for, and maybe one other team might have a shot if they play their best 4 games in their 7-game series. But everybody's beating everybody right now in the East. Like a shorthanded Heat team came in December when we had Joel and beat us in Philly. And it was like the most gut-wrenching, awful loss of the season. And then on Monday, we don't have Joel and James, and we beat a full-strength Heat team. So Charlotte is good with LaMelo. You never know who's going there. The Boston Celtics looked awful at the beginning of the season. Now they're wiping everybody off the table. We've traded blows with the Bucks. Like, it is super fun over here in the East. So I just wonder if the pressure is getting to them a little bit. But they've shown they can beat us. We've showed we can beat them. So I think just if you like basketball, it's going to be a really fun postseason, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you guys to get out of the East, but watch out for the Celtics, though. They are the team. Give me one last thought before we say goodbye on the Warriors. Golden State's had kind of a weird year.
Yeah.
Clay came back. Wiseman hasn't been able to come back. Steph has kind of regressed. Draymond's had disc issues with the back.
Yeah.
They're hoping they can get it all going
Yeah.
in time to make a run for the finals. And we all know that they've got the championship pedigree. But what do you think? I mean, you're watching this from afar. Give me your thumbnail on the Warriors. A lot of Warrior fans here.
Well, I think everything that Warriors fans have talked about the last couple of years, which you never want to accept, but sometimes you have to, like the superstars are getting up there. And even though it's just early 30s, mid 30s, when you see what these guys do day in and day out to their bodies, and then you think about the fact that they've been doing it for the past 15 years at an NBA level, you understand why it gets harder to jump and why you have discus. It's like being on the sideline in an NFL game. These guys beat the shit out of each other. And even though it's basketball, even some of the hard fouls, it doesn't translate over TV. These guys are beating and falling the way that Steph does, right? When he's laying it up and falling from 4 or 5 feet. So I think that is becoming a reality. But they have the pedigree. And I think that experience cannot be understated. When you know what it takes to make it through an NBA postseason, I think that really matters. So I am not for a second counting them out. And I would love nothing more than to see a Sixers Warriors NBA Finals this year. I mean, that would just be amazing. Seeing Phoenix in Phoenix on Sunday, like you said. So
that's big.
They seem to be head and shoulders right now, in my opinion, the best team in the NBA this year. And we're obviously going to see them without Chris Paul, but they have weapons everywhere. They've got great defense. They have all the things. So I think the Warriors are kind of scotch tape and glue right now because the boys are a little bit older. But I mean, Jordan Poole, Monty, right? Like Kuminga, all these young guys, they're stepping up. It's great to see Clay back. I'm so happy about that. So I do not think it's going to be nearly as easy as it was a couple of years for the Warriors, but because they've got Steph and Steve Kerr and Ron Adams, they have the pedigree, they have the experience. If they can figure out a way to get healthy, I don't think anyone in the West is going to want to face them.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by. You're a wonderful woman. I enjoyed working with you immensely. You're tough as nails, and you can take anybody's punch and keep going. You're a pioneer, Kate, and I know there's a lot of young girls around the country that are watching what you're doing, and they're taking a lot of pride in it. And also, it's opening doors for them so they can feel like, you know what, if I'm good enough, I'll have an opportunity. Yeah. How do I know that? Kate's good enough. she has an opportunity. So
Yeah.
keep kicking ass and taking names. You're having a ton of fun. You can hear it in the broadcast. And thanks for stopping by on the Krueg Show. And hopefully, if it is Sixers Warriors in the finals, we'll get you back and chop it up and,
We'll talk some
have
smack.
more fun.
We'll talk some smack. It was so good to see your face, man. Keep it up. Love you.
Thanks, Kate. Take care. Love you too.